So yes, she is astrologer royale as astrology for leaders, innovators, and change makers. None other than Miss Aleksandra Ceho.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Welcome, welcome, Miss Alexandra. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I must?
Yes, of course. So, I am a professional astrologer, a teacher, and a spiritual guide. And I work with leaders and entrepreneurs, especially in healthcare, legal, and STEM based businesses. And I help them create meaningful, purpose driven companies and use astrology, particularly the art of forecasting, to assist them in business growth.
Business growth indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Alexandra. And today, let's talk about astrology for entrepreneurs. So tell us, for a skeptical entrepreneur, how do you reframe astrology from a mystical belief into a practical framework for understanding natural cycles, timing, and personal strengths?
All right. Well, I want to take you back about a couple thousand years because that was actually the root and origin of astrology, is that it was actually used to guide royalty, statesmen, politicians, anybody who, in essence, was responsible or had stewardship over kingdoms or bodies of people. And so astrologers actually held the role of guiding these leaders in the past, helping them to understand natural cycles and how those natural cycles would influence things such as the weather, growth, crops, but also their influence in terms of things like war, economy, science, and scientific progression. And so astrologers were held in very high regard and held in high esteem for their ability to guide royalty and those who held stewardship over the people, uh, and guide them to make the right decisions in order to help their kingdoms thrive. And so since astrology has always held that esteemed place for thousands of years, it's kind of interesting because it lost a little bit of that esteem in the last couple hundred of years with the advent of science. However, astrology has always held a place in terms of the growth of businesses. And so in U.S. history, you've had prior presidents who have consulted astrologers. Of course, there is the infamous J.P. Morgan, who said that if you want to become a billionaire, you need to use astrology. And so it's always held its place among those with metaphysical knowledge who have also had the ability to affect the world.
Even entrepreneurs, business is their baby. Does the company founding date have its own astrological chart? And how can it that be used to understand and the company's core purpose and challenges?
Absolutely, that's an amazing question, Daniel. So just as when we are born ourselves, we create the natal chart, which is a moment in time, the essence of our personal nature. Well, that also applies to other entities, including businesses. And so you can do natal charts in essence for people, for businesses, and even for countries, by the way. And so there's an entire branch of astrology called mundane astrology that applies to the governance over countries. And so at the time of creation, or at the time of incorporation of a company, that entity is creates an essence, or rather an essence for that entity is created. And so when you create the natal chart of a business, what you are doing is you are capturing the essence and the different aspects of natures that are inherent in that business. And so that includes everything from the purpose of the company to its image, how it communicates to the public, its daily systems and activities and those functions, its ability to generate new relationships and also customer service as well. And so there are many aspects to the business that you can interpret through the natal chart itself. And depending on the nature of the business, certain aspects of its chart will take precedence over others. So, for example, if you are looking at a service-based system, then you're really going to want to look to Venus and the moon, who have stewardship over customer service and over the client relationships, right? And so when you understand how to implement successful strategies to facilitate amazing relationships with your clients in service-based businesses, then you want to consult that aspect of the natal chart. Whereas if you have a product-based business, well, things like your resources, as well as product promotion, are going to be really important for you. And so when you look at Saturn in that natal chart, that's going to give you insight into your resources, or your key strategic resources, be those tangible items, right? Or the services of outside contractors, that kind of thing. And so you want to look at the aspects of the natal chart that are going to provide you key insights into the functions of your business. And no two businesses are the same. So you can take two businesses that are in the same field, so to speak, and when they're created at different times, they each come in with different essences. And so you can't use a cookie cutter approach to businesses that come from the same industry, because their needs are different.
Miss Alexandra, I'm reclaiming my power with Hermetic astrology. Can you tell us about this more on your website?
Oh, yes, of course. So, Hermetic astrology is actually the astrology that dates back to the times of Hermes Trismegistus. And so, for those of you who have not heard of this mythical figure before, or perhaps you have, Hermes Trismegistus was an ancient sage who is estimated to have lived in certain philosophical teachings anywhere from 8 to 12,000 years ago. And the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus form the foundation for astrology as we know it. And not just astrology, his teachings actually have influenced every major world religion, particularly the Abrahamic religions that exist on the planet today. And so, in the traditions of Hermes Trismegistus, we are divine beings. And we are here on this journey to create, to manifest, to achieve self mastery, or what the Greeks referred to as sophrosyne. And that power to manifest, and whether you are doing that in the form of a business, or even just as a professional working under another corporation or under another umbrella, we are here to create. And so reclaiming your power is about living the divine life. And that is actually the purpose of astrology. And so one of the books that I was influenced very much so by, I actually want to make mention of it here, Daniel, because I mean, I'm a
Go
huge book
ahead.
lover, and I love anything that is old. So um, my key book that I have loved forever actually is the Astronomica, written by Marcus Manilius. It's an amazing book. It's one of the oldest surviving texts of, well, mostly complete texts of astrology that exists. It was estimated to have been written somewhere around 10 to 20 AD, during the times of Augustus Caesar. And in this book, it is actually in the beginning dedicated to Hermes Trismegistus. And Marcus Manilius writes, "Who could know heaven save by heaven's gift, and discover God save one who shares himself in the divine?" This is a very hermetic philosophy to astrology. And astrology was meant as a path of reclaiming the divine and godliness. And the challenges in our lifetime, including becoming an entrepreneur or professional in any sphere, every one of us has our purpose and the things that we are meant to contribute to this world, the manifestations that we are here to create. And when we begin embracing those challenges and growing as a result of them, that is actually you reclaiming the power that you came in with.
Interesting, Miss Alexandra. So how can an entrepreneur use their birth chart to conduct a kind of cosmic SWOT or SWOT analysis, identifying their innate entrepreneurial strength, potential blind spots, optimal timing for launches, and hidden threats for the energy?
Absolutely. So, there's a lot of caveats to this question. I think the first is that perhaps we're going to presume that an entrepreneur knows what they are looking to put out there, because I have had people in the past who have not necessarily been certain, have been looking for that guidance and finding aspects of themselves. But for those of you who either have active businesses or in the process of creating one, when you lay out that business chart, first of all, that helps you identify the key areas of strength within your business because perhaps you don't have the greatest customer relationships as dictated by your chart. Now that doesn't mean it's not something you can improve, but let's say that you're not going to be rated number 1 for customer relations. However, your execution is top notch. And so understanding the nuances of your business so that you can put forward your best foot, so to speak, so that you can communicate what your business is there about and how it's going to service people, because perhaps some people care more about the customer relationship, whereas others, they just want it done and they want it done well. And so understanding the footprints of your business and the strengths that you are meant to advertise to the world is just one piece of it. Of course, there's more, because following simply that astrological blueprint and understanding the nature of your business, its purpose, how it's going to show up in the world, how to create the best possible reputation, from that point forward, you can also engage in astrological forecasting for the business. And so, astrological forecasting can work with product launches, it can work with advertising. You can also use the forecasting to keep an eye on trends within your business. Because, for example, if we go back to resource based businesses, perhaps there may be an aspect to Saturn that indicates that there might be some trouble ahead. Perhaps your suppliers are going to be running low or having issues. And so, knowing that there are potential issues with your key resources and your suppliers and knowing it ahead of time will give you that buffer you need to find other resources to fill in the gap that perhaps that supplier may not be able to fulfill in the moment. And so, astrological forecasting as this amazing tool that you can use to keep an eye on every aspect of the business and to keep it growing. Because businesses that stagnate lose customers and clients and eventually become obsolete. And so when you use the astrological forecasting to keep yourself growing, evolving, current, strong in every aspect, you will find that your business is actually able to grow. And so between understanding the footprints of your business and its key qualities, talents, and how it best shows up in the public, as well as using astrological forecasting to keep yourself ahead of challenges and also to latch on to opportune moments for media, publicity, product launches. This gives you the ability to put yourself at the front of everything and to take best advantage of it, be it a challenge that needs to be mitigated or a propitious moment that you can literally take advantage of for profitability, for expansion, for greater reputation.
Are there specific astrological houses or planetary transits that can indicate favorable periods for seeking investment or experiencing financial growth?
Oh yes, absolutely. And so there is there's an entire branch of astrology called financial astrology that specifically looks at the impact of astrology on the world of investment. But when it applies to businesses, oh my gosh, there is so much that we can talk about here. But the very first thing that I will bring up is that you want to see positive aspects from Jupiter in relation to that natal chart for the business. So Jupiter is the planet of growth, expansion, abundance, as well as benevolence, actually. And often when we think of benevolence, we think of generosity or kindness. However, as a business entity, you want the benevolence of the world around you. And so if the world is not benevolent to this business entity, obviously it's not going to do well. um, so so aspects from Jupiter to that natal chart of the business can absolutely provide propitious moments for, as I mentioned, product launches, advertising, publicity. So if you're looking to put out a press release, for example, using either what are called the footprints of Jupiter or transits of Jupiter is a great way to garner public favorability. And so anytime you're looking at Jupiter in his positive aspects, so generally conjunctions for the most part, sextiles as well as trines, you have these opportunities where you can either negotiate favorability with the public, favorability with other companies, because that's also part of it. Many businesses have to operate in conjunction with other suppliers or business entities, and utilize that benevolence to advantage.
Miss Alexandra, which planetary cycle are most associated with entrepreneurial burnout? And what is the prescribed cosmic strategy for navigating these high pressure periods sustainably?
So Saturn is the big challenger of the zodiac wheel.
Yes.
And Saturn always calls for rectification. And when we're talking about burnout, whether that's on a personal level or if we're kind of applying it in a sense to a business, I truthfully hope that a business never burns out. But especially in the beginning, when you're looking at smaller businesses, entrepreneurial businesses, if the owner is burnt out, well then that's going to absolutely impact the business, right? But on a personal level, for those of you who are listening, um, burnout periods are often associated with transits of Saturn. And there's many that I could list here, and they're constantly happening. So Saturn is the great rectifier. He is the one who asks us to correct things to solidify our foundation. And when you are experiencing burnout, which is unfortunately a reality for many people, Saturn is trying to draw attention to your foundation. Now, what do I mean by foundation? Well, I mean your health, I mean your time, I mean your finances, And I mean your key relationships, your family, your partner, and also key business relationships too. And so when you experience hard aspects from Saturn and you are experiencing that burnout, always come back to these key things in your life because they are your foundation. They are literally the ground under your feet. If you are experiencing burnout, it is because you have eschewed or neglected aspects of your foundation in favor of productivity. And without the ground under your feet, it takes more and more energy to achieve, to be productive, to get things done. So, as the great rectifier, Saturn is calling attention to these key things. So health, have when you are experiencing burnout, Saturn, it first of all wants you to check in with your body. Have you actually been getting rest? If not, well, you know what you need to do. If you're having trouble, take care of it, right? It's time to rectify health. It's time to rectify time. Saturn is not just the great rectifier, he is also one who encourages the proper use of boundaries. And I mean, also having an athletic background, I know that um, the quality of your rest absolutely impacts the quality of your performance, but the quality of your time spent also very much impacts your performance. And so I always say declutter your time, declutter your calendar if you're also experiencing burnout. And then, of course, your finances and your key family relationships. These are also things that require time and insight as well. Now, for those of you who are perhaps looking for more specialized guidance, because Saturn absolutely calls attention to these areas, but you also need to know what your stressors are, because burnout is absolutely a response to being too stressed for too long. And anyone who is experiencing burnout right now absolutely knows that's the truth. And so when you look at your natal chart, that can actually reveal what stresses you, because stress is basically pressure on a weaker aspect of your nature. And so you can actually examine that through the natal chart. Now, I have a free ebook called Star Powered Resilience, where we explore the professional strengths of each zodiac sign and also what stresses you. What is the pressure to that weaker part of your own nature that needs to be remedied? And then there are also some quick rituals and journal prompts that are meant to help you begin that process of overcoming burnout. And so if you check it out on my website, astrologerroyale.com, you will find it in the About Me section there, Star Powered Resilience.
If our co-founders have clashing charts, how can they use that awareness to create more complementary and resilient partnership rather than seeing it as a deal breaker?
I love this question. Thank you for asking, Daniel. So, there are many forms of astrology. And one of the forms of astrology that I have also worked with is called esoteric astrology. And there's a theory about one of the rays called the fourth ray, named harmony through conflict. And at essence is the fact that in relationships, whether that is a personal relationship or a romantic relationship or a professional relationship, we do not come or operate on the same trajectories. So at the heart of things, every one of us has different educational backgrounds. We have different life experiences. We have different natures, right? According to our natal charts. And so all of these you could think of as trajectories. And when we meet in a potential business partnership, we are coming from different trajectories. Now, those trajectories can be remarkably similar, meaning, you could think of it as a small angular difference, which is much easier to manage. But when you come from a much drastically different background, then yes, there is absolutely the potential for conflict. And so I actually do astrological charts for business partners. Uh, and in some instances, they are also spouses. So that adds an extra layer of complication to it. But when you have those differing natures, one of the things to understand is that, um, first of all, understanding yourself. And so understanding your nature through your own natal chart is the beginning, because you need to understand what kind of perspective you are coming from, what you value, what your skill sets are. And all of these things influence what you see in regards to the function of the business. And one of the blessings of having two people who come from very different trajectories is that they often bring different skill sets and different perspectives and values to the business. And that um, contrast can actually allow for greater creativity and greater awareness and function of the business across all spectrums. And so when I do the synastry for business partners, first of all, I love doing it, especially when they come from very different angles, because it actually offers me the opportunity to see how their differences are not something to butt heads over, but actually create a diverse range of awareness within the function of the business that can allow it to grow and thrive if they learn how to work together.
Grow and thrive indeed. So, Miss Alexandra, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, a comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review, Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Alexandria, tell us, for an entrepreneur who is intrigued but overwhelmed, what is the one single piece of astrological insight would you tell them to explore first to see immediate practical value in their business?
Well, the first thing I always tell entrepreneurs is to consult your personal natal chart first. As the creator, everything comes from you. Whatever your personal challenges and struggles are, those will be reflected in the growth of the business. Every challenge that you have personally is simply a gift that is either not understood or is not being managed properly. And so, a well trained astrologer can absolutely help you navigate those challenges so that you can keep moving forward with your business. As within, so without.
Miss Aleksandra Ceho, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to encourage you to visit my website, astrologerroyale.com. You can also find me on social media at Pallas, Pallas dot Alex, Aleks. And there you will find links to articles as well as current astrological information to support you in your personal and professional growth.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Alexandria Ceho, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering business to come. So, Miss Alexandra, Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel. It was a pleasure.
More to come, people. See you soon.